battle of the mind cases, dilemma in marginal or subclinic hemorrhage and the retroplacental hemorrhage. As you see, obstetrics is a bloody business. It's not my statement, but it's written in the Williams obstetrics. We see later on what it really means. Aim of the presentation is, as far as possible, the obstetric ultrasound should be done by the obstetrician so as to make our diagnosis very elegant and perfect. My case is, my patient is Gravida 4, Para 1, Living 1, Abortion 2. The first baby is a male baby, 2.5 years. It's a full-term normal vaginal delivery. The baby is 11 male. Second and third are the first trimester terminations by medical method, and fourth one is the present pregnancy. The patient had a first visit at her 11 weeks of gestation on 3rd of February. At that time, the ANC profile of the patient was within normal limits, and the ultrasound was done for the dating, and it was exactly corresponding to the gestational age of the patient. Exactly after 15 days, on about 17th of the February, the patient came with a history of fallen abdomen with the ultrasound report done outside by a radiologist, with findings: single live intrauterine pregnancy of 14.2 weeks with subchronic hemorrhage measuring about 11.9 centimeters. Lacquer was adequate and cervical length was 4.2 centimeters and the interval cord was closed. On examination, patient was cooperative, conscious, well-oriented, her vitals were stable, and on per abdominal examination, uterus was just palpable and tenderness was extreme on the uterus. On per sacral examination, it revealed open cervical os with minimal bleeding, and the products of conception were seen in the cervical canal. Per vaginal examination not done, in view of the case of vaginal bleeding. Then, this patient is diagnosed with Gravida 4, Para 1, Living 1, Abortion 2 with 14.2 weeks of gestation with subchronic hemorrhage with inevitable abortion. So, as this is a patient with inevitable abortion, patient posted immediately to the evacuation. Under short GA, evacuation done. During evacuation, after removing placenta, a huge RP clot measuring about 250 grams came out, and the patient started bleeding enormously. Some people like Dr. Mahesh will say that Baap dakho main to shraddha kar, but sorry. At that time, it's because of my indicators and headlights were on, so I forgot to put on my cell camera. That's why I was not able to produce the images or pics right now. Sorry for the inconvenience. So, after this thing, patient started bleeding enormously, and all masala things were tried to compensate the bleeding of the patient. After that, the bleeding controlled finally, and post-evacuation 2-point PCV given to the patient as per the anesthetic recommendation. And the patient is happily discharged on the day 3 post-procedure. Thank God, because the patient itself presented with inevitable abortion and diagnosed with subchronic hemorrhage. The patient, if suppose she wouldn't be presented with inevitable abortion, the patient may have been sent with bomb in the womb. And माहिती नाही पेशंटचं काय झालं असतं, कदाचित देवगिरीच्या काचा फुटल्या असत्या, पेशंटनी मला मारलं असतं आणि किंवा जस्ट मेंबरना परत क्रांती चौकात पाठी घेऊन थांबवावं लागलं असतं फॉर प्रोटेस्ट अगेन्स्ट डॉक्टर. That's it. That is the difference in subchorionic hemorrhage and the retroplacental hemorrhage. Subchorionic hemorrhage is a benign condition, and retroplacental hemorrhage is as violent. So the discussion is regarding management issues. Both entities have the different management patterns. The conditions in brief. I will explain the marginal hemorrhage first. Vaginal bleeding is common in these patients, causes tears of marginal vessels, or even it may arise from the rupture of uteroplacental veins. So these are the low pressure bleeds, and these are commonly associated with the residual necrosis secondary to cigarette smoking. Symptoms are often mild. Then incidence common up to the 16 weeks of gestational age. Treatment with start persistence on the bed rest is advised to the patient, and after that we can follow the patient after 7 to 15 days for judgment of the or see whether there is reduction in the subchorionic hemorrhage or not. The complications are associated with miscarriage and preterm labor, but are generally of little significance. We'll see the retroplacental hemorrhage. In this case, vaginal bleeding is unusual. Causes are rupture of the spiral arterioles or the rupture of decidual arteriole with bleeding, separating the basal plate of the placenta from the uterine wall. So these are the high pressure bleeds associated maximally with the maternal blood pressure and the vascular diseases. Symptoms are classical tense, painful uterus, precipitous delivery, leading to DIC and death. Incidence: women who have uterine bleeding between the 14 to 26 weeks of gestation, almost a fourth had a placental abruption or a previa. And as you know, everyone, the treatment of these conditions is a termination of pregnancy as far as the retroplacental hemorrhage is concerned. These are the big presentations. Here you can see the various types of hemorrhages which are seen during the antenatal phase. These are the references. Thank you for listening.